Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. The blowback from Donald Trump's tariffs for this city has been swift and hard. Almost immediately, word came from Stellantis of a temporary shutdown at the Windsor assembly plant, the company placing the blame squarely on tariffs. Jennifer LaGrassa breaks down who will be impacted and the ripple effect.
In between shift changes, there's a calm outside of Stellantis' Windsor assembly plant. But inside, some workers say there's unease.
I am very worried, and I can tell you from the people that are here inside the plant, everybody's worried about this.
It's scary, that's for sure.
This is just the start of it. You know, it's gonna be like an infection through the entire city. So it's catastrophic, really.
As of Monday, the plant will sit idle and these workers will be off the job. Stellantis says it's pausing production at the plant for the next 2 weeks because of U.S. President Donald Trump's 25% auto tariff. According to the company, it means 3,200 employees will be off. And the local auto union says that's just the tip of the iceberg. There could be 8 times that, up to 25,000 jobs impacted. Those are jobs at smaller plants that feed parts and supplies to the Windsor assembly plant, all of which would be stalled because of this trade action.
We're a border town, so it's for us, it's a little bit more personal. We know it's not the people in the United States, it's their government, but there's a real sense of betrayal.
Windsor assembly plant workers will receive between 65 to 70% of their pay, while other feeder plants can expect less, closer to half of their pay. It's not just Windsorites that are feeling the punch. Some Michigan auto workers are also impacted. Stellantis' decision to temporarily shut down a plant in Windsor and Mexico has resulted in 900 layoffs in Michigan and other U.S. states. They work at feeder facilities that supply parts to those plants. One Michigan mayor expects more layoffs to come.
Higher tariffs mean higher prices, and that, of course, affects demand. Demand affects production, and production, ultimately, if you have less production, you need less workers.
While Stellantis and Unifor Local 444 in Windsor say these job impacts are strictly because of the tariffs, the union in the United States is blaming the company. In a statement today, the United Auto Workers said, quote, "These layoffs are a completely unnecessary choice that the company is making." Right now, Stellantis says the Windsor assembly plant should resume operations the week of April 21st, but many doubt that will actually be the case. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
The president of Unifor Local 200, who represents workers at the Ford engine plants, spoke with NDP candidates today. He says there are still unknowns, but he does not blame Stellantis for laying workers off right now.
And the company that really doesn't have the answers yet, because they got to look at the total package when it comes to the agreement. And they got to decide from there, can we operate? Can we operate at this site? And that's scary. This ain't a company issue. This is a president that's made a decision issue. So the companies, I'm not blaming the companies. The companies have been put in a position. But what we have to tell the companies is we have to build here. And these are the reasons why.
As workers at Windsor's assembly plant grapple with an uncertain future, the city is celebrating a large auto investment, this one of the EV front. It's a strange juxtaposition, but as Dalson Chen reports, it is a glimmer of hope for the bruised auto sector.
Under the shadow of Trump's trade war, Windsor welcomed a major investment. Minth Group, a Taiwanese-Canadian auto parts manufacturer, is in the process of building a $300 million production facility by the airport. William Chin, the company's chief strategy officer, says the first phase of the project will result in 1,100 new local jobs.
We need the support of you guys. We need the support of everybody here. We need the support of Ontario. We need the best people in Windsor producing the best products. We want to be close to our customers, and Windsor is definitely that location. Windsor has the best location, has the best people, and we're very, very confident that we're going to grow as fast here as possible as with our other locations.
A global corporation, Minth Group employs 25,000 people and has 77 other sites in 14 countries. The 380,000 square foot plant in Windsor will make cases for electric vehicle batteries. Along with incentives from the city, including a property tax break, the project is benefiting from a $40 million loan from the province of Ontario. Windsor-Tecumseh MPP Andrew Dowie says the province continues to recognize our region as essential to Ontario's manufacturing future.
With Windsor-Essex remaining at the heart of our government's plan to bring good-paying manufacturing jobs back to Ontario. Today's announcement marks another step in enhancing the resilience of our end-to-end EV supply chains, while also ensuring that conventional automakers benefit from more diversified sourcing options.
Windsor company Rosati Construction was chosen to build the facility. The first phase of construction is expected to be complete this September. Recruiting and hiring is already underway. Jobs range from machine operators to manufacturing engineers to managerial positions. Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkins says this is just the start of Windsor's relationship with Minth.
And this, guys, is only phase one. There are more plans in the works that we really are excited about and continue to talk about how we can help support Minth as they expand their footprint in North America. And we're going to find ways to work with our partners. We're going to find ways to work with that one American who's giving us grief and is putting tariffs on the world right now.
Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Colette Kennedy joins us now for our first look at weather. Colette, you promised us a gorgeous day today, and that's what we got.
Yeah, some beautiful conditions and such a nice reprieve from the kind of weather that was rolling through all the wet conditions and windy conditions of yesterday, although I know the wind's still gusty through today. The same system that brought us the rain yesterday, that's still affecting areas stateside. It'll be a 4-day event in there, so it's not just severe weather, but that flooding risk. But what will happen is a piece of this energy is coming our way again as we head into the weekend. So we'll have a generally dry day, most of this in the upper atmosphere, and stays south of us. A generally dry day tomorrow, and then we get Friday night into Saturday, some rain coming our way. I'll elaborate on that coming up. Tonight's low 5 and the high tomorrow 12 degrees.
Okay, talk to you soon, Colette.
Sounds good.
Back to tariffs now. While Windsor is already feeling their effects, one automotive expert warns that there's another shoe to drop, and that is when tariffs get applied not just to finished vehicles, but to auto parts, and that's expected by May 3rd.
The auto parts tariffs are not in force yet because they haven't figured out how to do that. It's a tremendously complicated bookkeeping exercise to figure out where a part came from and what steps it went through in getting to the final customer, and at what steps what value was added to it. So, you know, something starts out as a piece of raw material somewhere, it goes somewhere else and it gets stamped into a fender, and then it gets assembled onto a car, and then it gets painted, and then it gets shipped to a dealership and somebody buys the car. Well, where did the fender come from? Where did the steel come from? When it was stamped into a fender from a flat piece of steel or a coil of steel, how much value did it take on? And I think that what they intend to do is put a tax on the value added as it goes through the various processes, if those processes happened outside of the United States. But I have to be honest with you, some of the rules aren't very clear. And, you know, the U.S. Commerce Department doesn't know how to do it, so they've given themselves 90 days to figure it out. It's a very complicated thing. I mean, anybody who tries to simplify this is making a mistake. The only thing that's simple and easy to say for sure is that a tariff is a tax, and the people who pay it will be the people who will eventually buy these cars.
Liberal leader Mark Carney returned to his role as Prime Minister to address Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs. He outlined his plan for Canada's short and long-term response to a U.S. policy shift that he called historic and a tragedy. The CBC's Ashley Burke reports.
The day after Donald Trump hit virtually every country in the world with tariffs, the Prime Minister warning Trump's ruptured the global economy, torpedoing its growth.
The President's actions will reverberate here in Canada and across the world.
Mark Carney calling Trump's tariffs unjustified, unwarranted, and misguided as he strikes back.
We must respond with both purpose and force. We are a free, sovereign, and ambitious country.
The government hitting the U.S. with tariffs on American vehicles non-compliant with their trade deal, matching what Trump slapped on Canada's auto sector overnight.
These auto companies aren't making money hand over fist. They're basically trying to get by day by day and keep their people employed. So our goal is to continue negotiating down to a 0%.
Automaker Stellantis already halting production at a plant in Ontario in response to Trump. News that hit the campaign trail.
This is a direct attack on these workers. And for the workers that I met at Stellantis, they woke up to an announcement now that their plant has been shut down for 2 weeks. Can I touch it?
The Conservatives seizing on the auto tariffs to take aim at Carney for not stopping it.
Just last Friday, Mark Carney said he had a, quote, very productive, very constructive call with President Trump, citing progress. Unfortunately, Canada has not been spared. There is no progress.
Carney pushing back, saying Canada was spared new tariffs yesterday, while 3 rounds already announced remain in place.
We have the best deal of a series of tough deals, bad deals in many respects. That is progress.
Carney said he doesn't think Trump will change course unless Americans feel so much financial pain that it's impossible to ignore. He says that could be a hard and long road for Canadians and is headed back on the campaign trail to try and pitch himself as the one to lead Canada out of this trade war. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
You heard a little bit from Premier Doug Ford in that story there. He was subdued as he reacted to the news of the Stellantis idling today. In a news conference, he once again outlined that Canada has to hit back at the White House. Queen's Park reporter Sean Jeffords breaks it down for us.
You know, we all agreed that we got the best of a bad deal, which in my opinion is still totally unacceptable. The only thing that's acceptable is 0 tariffs.
The candid assessment of Trump's latest tariff plan from Canada's premiers. Doug Ford making the statement after huddling with Prime Minister Mark Carney and the rest of Canada's first ministers. And a round of retaliatory tariffs have been levied against the United States. But that's cold comfort to about 4,500 workers at Stellantis' Windsor auto plant, who are already laid off temporarily. Ford says both his government and Carney's will help the auto sector.
But I can tell you, he reassured us that he'll be there for the auto companies to support them. We'll be there as well.
Canada appears to have been spared the reciprocal tariffs applied in Trump's plan. But an apparent 12.5% auto sector tariff came into effect overnight, prompting the Stellantis announcement. Ford had predicted that if the taxes were imposed, it would shutter auto plants on both sides of the border. And that came to pass, with 900 American workers also affected by the Stellantis shutdown.
I thought it would last about a week, but obviously it's right down to days now on the supply chain. And I've been saying this over and over again, a tariff on Canada is a tax on Americans. I mentioned Termination Day. There's a perfect example.
On CBC's Metro Morning, the head of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association says he's still not clear what the tariff rate is. But regardless of its level, the impact will be profound.
Yes, I said the industry is going to shut down. And within 12 hours, we see one of the most important plants in this country that's been around for 99 years go on a 2-week break. That's not normal.
The leader of the official opposition at Queen's Park says the Stellantis news highlights how the province needs to begin the hard work of finding new trading partners and be there for workers already affected by Trump's tariffs.
And so I think it is more important than ever that we are thinking about the future, not just protecting workers now, but protecting workers in the future in Ontario. Ontario cannot be in a position of just simply fighting for scraps that fall off the edge of Donald Trump's table.
That story from CBC's Sean Jeffords. A tool and die shop in Windsor has taken employees to court. They want an order issued so that they can move equipment to Michigan without a union blockade. This was the scene of the Titan Tool and Die Shop on Howard earlier this week. Unifor 195 employees blocked a transport truck from leaving the shop on Monday. They say the truck was heading to Michigan with a piece of equipment that does work in Windsor. Employees say they're worried if the equipment leaves, so do their jobs. The company took the union to court today, and a court decision is expected tomorrow. A live look outside. They're a little more gray than it was earlier today. When we come back, following Trump's Liberation Day tariffs, the stock market takes a nosedive. We'll have that after the break. Welcome back. We heard from Liberal leader Mark Carney earlier today on tariffs. Pierre Poilievre's campaign was also focused on that. The Conservative leader said he would fight Trump's duties on the auto sector by giving tax breaks to Canadian-made vehicles. Evan Dyer reports.
Pierre Poilievre chose this manufacturing plant on the outskirts of Kingston to make his announcement. This is a plant that makes large-scale refrigeration units, the kind of plant making the kind of product that's very vulnerable, of course, to tariffs in the ongoing trade war. And he also made an announcement that is intended to counter that 25% tariff on Canadian content in Canadian-made vehicles. What he's proposing is that all Canadian-made vehicles, and they have a list of vehicles that meet that criteria, would be exempt from GST. So, for example, a person buying a Chevy Silverado, which is considered a Canadian-made vehicle, would not have to pay federal sales tax. It's very similar to a proposal made by the NDP a few weeks ago, who also added a couple of other wrinkles, one of them being a requirement that Canadian government agencies, such as Canada Post and the RCMP, would have to buy Canadian-only vehicles for their own use. He also responded to some comments by Preston Manning, of course, a sort of a mentor of the Conservative Party and a major figure from the past, who said that a vote for Mark Carney was equivalent to a vote for Western secession. He didn't address those comments directly or talk about Preston Manning, but he did say that he supported Canadian unity and that his program to ensure Canadian unity was building a strong resource-based economy to make Canada stronger in the face of U.S. economic threats. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Kingston.
Meanwhile, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is proposing to bring back victory bonds to help the Canadian economy deal with Donald Trump's tariffs.
A victory bond would be a guaranteed investment where you would purchase a bond, a 5-year or 10-year, and if you hold it to maturity, you would get all the revenue tax-free.
Singh says the revenue from these bonds would create work for Canadians and help rebuild public infrastructure. The secure tax-free savings bonds were used during both world wars to raise money for the conflicts. Stock markets around the globe fell sharply this morning in response to the new U.S. tariffs. Donald Trump has put 10% levies on nearly all countries, with rates higher for more than 6 nations or trading blocs. The U.S. Commerce Secretary says those tariffs are needed, but as Richard Madden reports, not all American lawmakers are convinced.
I think it's going very well. President Donald Trump dismissing the global fallout from his aggressive tariff policy by comparing it to an urgent medical surgery that needed to be done.
It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing.
The administration says it's short-term pain for long-term prosperity after Trump slapped sweeping 10% blanket tariffs on nearly every country in the world. Markets have since tanked, and economists are now warning of inflationary price hikes, retaliation from allies, causing a potential recession ignited by Trump's own trade and tariff war. But the White House says the president's actions will realign global trade, and the world simply needs to trust him.
Let Donald Trump run the global economy. He knows what he's doing. He's been talking about it for 35 years. You got to trust Donald Trump in the White House. That's why they put him there.
On Capitol Hill, more Republicans are publicly breaking from Trump's tariff agenda. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley introduced a bill that would block Trump from imposing more tariffs without getting congressional approval first. Democrats, meantime, are seizing on the issue, saying consumers will suffer and Republicans will be punished.
I think what we're going to see is an enormous correction politically because of the enormous damage economically that Trump is inflicting on America.
Now, many here are calling this Trump's biggest gamble of his presidency, with huge economic and political consequences. But the White House believes these tariffs will eventually bring back manufacturing and jobs to the U.S., and they brush off criticism they might be wrong. Richard Madden, CBC News, Washington.
The long list of the places Trump slapped with export tariffs includes a place with no humans around. This is Heard Island, a remote territory near Antarctica that belongs to Australia. No one lives there except penguins. It faces the 10% U.S. tariff alongside some of the major global economies. The last time it was visited by people was probably a decade ago. The puzzling move by the Trump administration had Australia's Prime Minister remark, quote, "Nowhere on earth is safe." Stay with us. We'll have Colette Kennedy back with us after the break with more weather. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is back with us now for more on weather. Colette, truly amazing this week. Went from a winter jacket to a light jean jacket today. It was great.
I know. Welcome to spring, right? Yeah, it's just nice to have some decent conditions today, some mild temperatures after all the wet weather, and for much of the province, very different types of precipitation that came through as well, though it was mostly rain other than a little mix for Windsor. But we were up to 18 degrees for the high. And hey, not holding it too bad a temperature right now. Currently at 16, 15 for Chatham-Kent. And let's shave one more off of that, Sarnia at 14 degrees right now. The winds, which were very gusty, there's still a pocket there near Kitchener and northward, but we're not dealing with too much now, just those winds around 35 kilometers an hour. And they'll continue to ease up through the overnight tonight and be lighter tomorrow morning. Some of this this moisture that's in the atmosphere from the system, very moisture-laden frontal boundary that's draped across the U.S., and much of this just kind of drying up in the upper atmosphere, but a sprinkle sort of here and there. It's far more than sprinkles. We looked at this yesterday. This will be day 2. There will be 2 more days where they're going to be looking at severe weather, but flooding risks as well. So once again, multiple states with all the areas you see here in this light orange with tornado watches that are in place. There have been some tornado warnings in here in the areas in red, and all the areas in green, flooding. This is the same system that brought us the wet weather yesterday, and this same system is going to bring us some wet weather into Saturday as well. And so we'll be watching that carefully. It's just going to keep pushing in here, pulling in from the Gulf, and it just keeps firing up again kind of each day till we get through Saturday. So for us, we'll just deal with drier conditions most of tomorrow, but do know that we'll have increasing cloudiness into the afternoon hours. And then it's really the first batch of moisture, that potential kind of Friday through the overnight. Much better chance as we get into early Saturday morning and then through the day Saturday of having these waves of rainfall going through. All told, most of the heavy stuff looks to be staying south of us so that the rainfall amounts won't be that significant. If this shifts just a little bit further north, I mean, look at this pocket. There is heavy rain nearby. We're looking at amounts of 5 to 15 millimeters or so through Saturday. Overnight tonight, that temperature fairly mild, 4 to 5 degrees for our low, 12 tomorrow. A good day, just more sun in the morning, and then there you go into the weekend. Temperatures kind of close to seasonal, and with that wet weather, Sunday shouldn't be a washout. In fact, we might dry out quite a bit on Sunday.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, Colette, and thanks to you all for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Good night.